functionality of Microsoft Access. It's probably better because Microsoft Access is not so smart, for example, in understanding field names. You can declare any number of aliases for a field name, and the model automatically understands them. Okay, let's see something. Okay, the translator, this model is basically a parser. It can understand anything, can understand, for example, even relational operators, multi-word relational operators, such as is null. Here we have a value, undefined value. And as you can see, in this case, is null is correctly recognized as a relational operator and not a literal value. If I write down something which is literal value, this is recognized, we have no means here. Is automatically recognized and extracted and fed to the TP server as a bin value. Okay, here is the formal specification of the language. This is the full syntax, the complete syntax. We should use the field name in square brackets, then the relational operator, then the literal value or another field name. In this case, for example, and we should, in the standard case, quote the literal values. But we can avoid to quote the field names, and the model automatically understands what you mean. You can avoid altogether the field name, and in this case is used when the field name, when a sub-expression lacks its left operand. The left operand is substituted with the field which is bound to that particular input box. That's why the language is form-based. But you can avoid even the relational operator. In this case, the equality operator is assumed, and it works exactly the same. As you can see, the generated code is the same. And we can avoid, whenever possible, the false. And we can mix this with parentheses, nested parentheses. So basically, we can write any Boolean expression. Okay, this is a working example. As you can see, the model is not finished yet. I'm not convinced that the API is the best possible. We're working for a better API. And another thing we're working on is trying hard to avoid any possible error from the DB server. Because if we have, okay, let's make some syntax error. This syntax error is intercepted by the model. So we can pinpoint, highlight in some way the specific field which contains the error. If the error is generated by the DB server, the error comes from the full code. And then it is extremely hard to understand which is the specific field which has generated the error. And we can't say the user generically, there is an error in your query. Since imagine a query with dozens of fields, it's it's hard for the user. The user says, where is my error? Which is the specific condition generated the error. So we try very hard to avoid any possible error from the DB server. And this is very hard because some errors are post-parsing errors such as type mismatch errors. And these errors must be evaluated after the parsing phase. And this is very complicated, and this is exactly the thing we are working on. For the rest, the module pretty much works. And to my knowledge, there is nothing like this on CPAN, so we need CPAN as soon as possible. Any questions?
Relationships?
Relationships are not used directly by this module. You can present, you can interface the form with a view, for example, which is generated by a join. Anyway, the language is form-based. It permits to query a single form at a time. The form can be bound to a view, which can be populated by join. Did we something different?
How do you prevent SQL injection?
This way, by instructing, it is proved that using bin values.
In case of is now, there are one combined variable. What special cases for fixed strings?
Is that, sorry?
Event is now.
Okay.
There is no bind variable involved.
Yes, and there is no risk.
Special cases for those.
There's no risk of SQL injection in that case.
Do you pass in the if a string contains is now? Is that string used in the query? Or is that
You mean this way?
in the code?
You mean this way is now. This is correctly recognized as a string, and this is passed as a bin value.
But if you remove the
quotes,
yeah,
it is correctly recognized as a relational operator.
Because it is passed, and only some operator are passed as part of the
so likewise.
So not every
No. Just some operators, and in addition, these operators are fully customizable. You can, for example, not permit the user to use this now, if you want. There's no risk of SQL injections.
So what you really meant is now, it's not something that is used to build a query. It's something recognized to build a query, which is not. So
It's not is recognized
as a token. And this token means I will use something like is not in this case, but it's just a coincidence.
It can be called like is nothing or something.
It's nothing, no. It's impossible. Okay, if I use is nothing, for example, this is correctly recognized as a literal value, and is extracted. There's no possibility. Okay, is it clear? Okay. Or any other thing which is not, is nothing, of course, is not a relational operator, and it is not recognized as such. It's a literal, it can only be a literal value. So it's recognized as a literal value. If you decide to provide the user with a relational operator called is nothing, you could do it. But you should translate it. You can use an hash which translates any extra operators you want to provide the user with a corresponding existing operator, existing SQL operator. In this case, we have used just the but Boolean operator that we've ever seen.
So there's no part of the string served by the user which will be used to build a query, but for write variables. Correct.
Sorry.
So it's my easier.
The cannot enter arbitrary strings that are used as SQL statements or functions.
No, never. If the user enters, like in this case, something alien, it is recognized as a literal value, so it is ordered and then extracted and passed to the DB server as a bin value. So we are completely safe.
What about date values? Which kind of parts?
Date values are extremely difficult. And in general, type checking, probably with type checking, we have additionally to check that each
What if you put some string into age?
Currently, there is no type checking, so if I put something into age, for example, something like this is simple recognized as a literal value and passed as a value, which would generate a type mismatch error on certain DB servers, not on SQLite, for example. But this is the most difficult thing which remains to implement here.
We're out of time.
I think that the lightning